So that seems to be a big comment we get, is base Starlink by itself is cheaper, but in reality it's not. If you go buy that straight from Starlink themselves, that's around $165 a month. So if you take that times 36 months, that's a pretty big number. I think around almost $6,000. This for $1,000 for 3 years, I think that's a pretty good deal. I would take that. Welcome everybody to another episode of the FarmCast. We are live on location today here in warm Yuma, Colorado. I'm Troy Randall, our lead technology specialist. I got some special guests with me here today. I got Dalton McMurphy with our Precision Ag team, and we have a returning face at the end there, Hank Jackson, who is one of our Precision Ag managers. So thanks guys for joining us here today. Today we got a lot of different things to talk about, so just a lot of updates and things like that. But one of the coolest things we have right behind me is our JDLink Boost. So this is a new thing we've talked about quite a bit, but from your guys' standpoint, how have your customers been getting along with JDLink Boost?
My guys, I got one guy that likes it. We were talking to him this morning, and he uses it quite a bit to update work plans, edit guidance lines, make prescriptions, stuff like that during strip till and during the planting season. Is able to have connectivity, do that in the field, and then send it straight out to the other equipment.
Yeah, and from my experience, I guess, out in the Western Panhandle, not a lot of great cell signal. So a lot of guys are using this to be able to make phone calls, also update work plans, get their data into Ops Center. But we've seen more and more of our 21st century service pickups putting these on. So for our field techs that are out in the field having to, do remote software, do anything like that, they're able to have that connectivity in hard to reach places.
Yep. Yeah. So like we've said, it's pretty much anything that we can equip with a JDLink modem, we can put this solution on. So like I said, anything from a tractor to combine, a sprayer, to even the service pickups, to even maybe for our customers, maybe one of your own and pickups you use to service with out in your operation too. So, but to your point, we talked about having it on service trucks. We've had pretty good success with that. So if you see one of our 21st century service technicians out and about with one on there, that's definitely the solution they're using, and we had pretty good success with that this summer so far. So the few we put on, even just to the east of here, the location in Ray, I think one day they had their power go out, so they didn't have any internet, so they simply pulled out, one of the technicians pulled out his service truck, fired it up, and they had internet again, so they could keep on getting after it, what they needed to do. So very, very cool solutions.
Yeah, and it's cost effective.
Yes, right? Yes, very. So that seems to be a big comment we get, is, Starlink base Starlink by itself is cheaper, but in reality it's not, because I'm not too sure what calculator some people are using when it comes to that. But how much is this solution, Dalton?
$1,000 for 3 years, and then $200 a year after that.
Yep. Because last I checked, and this actually is, so the solution we get with this is unlimited data too. So unlimited roam data. If you go buy that straight from Starlink themselves, that's around $165 a month. So if you take that times 36 months, that's a pretty big number. I think around almost $6,000, give or take. So this for $1,000 for 3 years, I think that's a pretty good deal. I would take that versus just paying $165 if I were you guys. So yeah, so definitely a very good solution. Like I said, unlimited roam data, and it does. This is the standard antenna. A big comment we have is like, well, why didn't you use the mini one? Well, this is kind of the first solution we have right now. So Deere is looking into using that mini solution too. So that simple, just plug it into 12-volt solution and away you go. So that is something that's on the board, and maybe we'll see some news about that later this year too. But right now the standard antenna is awesome, because I've seen all the speed tests I've done. We've actually just put some boosts on some customers' brand new S7 combines a couple weeks ago, right before wheat harvest. We put them on both of those combines so they could have good data connectivity out in the field, because they're in kind of some spotty scenarios and they're sharing data back and forth using all those new technologies on those combines. But I think with a standard antenna, we were getting speeds up to 400, 450 downloads. So that was really, really cool to see out in the kind of middle of nowhere. So
out in no man's land.
Yep.
So.
And kind of touching on that price, for our shop pickups, it makes sense if it saves them a handful of hours out in the field over that 3 years. It kind of pays for itself. So kind of a no-brainer on the technicians' vehicles.
And in the cases where you do need to add a modem to it, we can get you set up with a modem for a couple $100, $300 for an M modem, a little bit more for an R modem, depending what you're doing. And actually, just last week, I actually had a guy in central Nebraska get a hold of me, and he operates a drone for both kind of scouting and weed spraying, and he's interested in adding that to his spray trailer. So, like in solutions like that, we'd have to pretty much add a modem to that 12-volt system to that trailer, connect it with the boost antenna, and then away it goes. You'll have that JDLink Boost data connectivity for that operation as well. So
yeah, definitely a lot of creative ways that guys can use this JDLink Boost.
So continuing on the trend of latest and greatest technology is something we've had a lot of success with this spring is AutoPath. So can you guys kind of share with me some successes you've had with your customers on AutoPath this year so far?
One of my customers up in kind of the Mirage Flats area and Panhandle, he's new to AutoPath this year, just getting into using the latest and greatest technology. So biggest thing that he wanted to use AutoPath for is cultivators on side hills, pretty hilly terrain out in that country. So in combination with active implement guidance and AutoPath, he ran the planter over the side hills, had a little side shift, but the AutoPath was able to record that. And then when he came back in with a 16-row cultivator, it made it a lot easier for him to not run over crop. So that's some of the success stories I've had at least this year, really seeing the value of what AutoPath can provide.
I kind of piggyback off that. One of my customers that's newest to it, they farm some pretty massive side hills in the sand as well with a pull type strip till and then 3-point planters. So they really valued being able to have that implement guidance to make the AutoPath lines for when they come back in with their planter. They know they're where they should be and they're not constantly shifting back and forth on the side hills as much.
Some comments I've gotten, it's a lot nicer for guys just having to, when they come back to the field, it's just one guidance line. You don't have your east end rows and your north and your south. It's just you come in, you select your AutoPath line and away you go. So definitely, a time saver as well.
Yeah, you kind of stole the words out of my mouth because I was going to say what I've said in the past. It's almost like variety locator, except for guidance lines. It's just one file, has all your lines in it. There's no switching between all your different tracks throughout the field, so it makes it easy from that standpoint too. Some good success I've had this year. I actually had a demoed it with a customer that was doing cultivating too. So, and of course the tractor, he put it in, still had an older 2630, so we had to get him a G5 to use. But to put it bluntly, he said it was probably the coolest thing he's seen since guidance itself. So he was cultivating some corn, so we got it set up for him. He was pretty much cultivating 12 rows, following a 24-row planter. So he's having those 12-row passes within that 24 rows, but he said it was definitely a game changer, and he was definitely sold on it right away, so it was good to see. So definitely going to help get him out of those 2630s and into a G5 here for this fall, and moving forward to utilize all the other advanced features that come with that advanced license on those G5s as well.
Yeah, and kind of touching on, because, we've heard a lot about AutoPath from rows, but last year, John Deere came out with AutoPath from boundaries. This spring tillage and also with wheat harvest kind of being in the middle of that right now, or guys have used the AutoPath from boundaries where they, maybe not recording the rows because it's obviously not a planter or strip tiller, but they're saving a lot more time because they're just going to the field with that AutoPath from boundary and away they go.
Yep, and I got another customer too that uses it they like it exclusively for that reason. It just makes it easier because they're a very large operation. They got a lot of tractors, a lot of guys running, so they can set up that AutoPath from boundaries. So he can send that work plan, he can get set up, and then he can know that the operator is going to be operating on the right guidance line in the right direction where they need to in that field. So there's no more kind of managing all those different guidance lines. You can just set it up and make it easy for those guys, and away you go. So definitely a big success there too. And plus those guys that customer too is also using it to cultivate 16 on 16 for their corn too. So they started with that a couple years ago too. And we did try the old AutoTrack Resend vision on the tractors, and that worked so. But as soon as we went to AutoPath, that was a night and day difference. So if you're doing any cultivating, going back in between those rows with a sprayer, things like that, especially cultivators, weeds are not getting easy to take care of. So a lot of guys have busted the cultivators back out, or if you're going back in between those rows, AutoPath is definitely an awesome technology. So, and it's very easy to get set up. So I guess just get with us on the front side. Pretty much the biggest thing we need is that newer Gen 4 G5 display, and then a receiver on that implement to record exactly where those rows are planted. So,
and like these guys touched on, as we move closer to corn harvest in this area, we got a lot of 16-row planters, 12-row corn heads. They can pull right in. They know you don't got to count rows. Their guidance line is right there. Yep. Every time. They can a lot more efficient that way.
Yep, eliminate the row of shame. So, and some exciting new news we have when it comes to AutoPath. What's that? Hank?
Some exciting news that Deere just releases. AutoPath is now compatible with both ATU 300s and the ATC controller. So kind of expanding the opportunity for customers to utilize AutoPath and different equipment.
And something else that you've been kind of the forerunner on when it comes to implementing across our AOR is GreenFit. So AutoPath is also compatible with GreenFit now too?
Yep. Yeah. So with updated software on your GreenFit controller, you're now able to follow AutoPath rows and boundary lines with GreenFit controllers. So definitely expanding the capabilities of it.
And then the one requirement, of course, for AutoPath is either that automation, activation, or subscription on those Gen 4 displays, or that advanced license on those G5 displays, plus something higher than SF1, so either SF3, SFRTK, things like that, in order to utilize AutoPath. But definitely an awesome tool our customers can utilize in their operation.
One of my customers last fall was his kind of first real time of getting to see what AutoPath can do in his beets running a defoliator. Sat down, met with him, said, this is going to make things a lot easier. Time and time again, I would get calls on how he's like, I just pull in, it's right on top of the beets, that between AutoPath and the active implement guidance controller, never had to sit back and run the hydraulic to move the defoliator back around. So he really saw the light and definitely had a good experience with it last year during beet harvest.
And that's one thing I'm excited for with the updated capabilities on both kind of controllers of taking the reins off of it when it comes to Deere equipment. I have one customer of mine actually runs a self-propelled harvester, and that's one thing we always wanted was AutoPath, because they're Deere on everything else, but we want to be able to use AutoPath and that self-propelled beet harvester. So there's some glimmer of a hope there. Might be able to make that work for this fall, so they can pull up that same. They run plant 16 but harvest 8, so be able to pull up and run that 8 and 8 across that 16 and know exactly where those beet rows are. So another cool technology we've been taking advantage of is Work Planner. So what can you guys tell me about Work Planner and how some of your customers have been using that this spring so far?
So the guys in my area that I got running it right now, they use it to really increase efficiency when they set up at a new field. They have Work Plan right there, 2 planners in the same field, multiple machines, whatever it may be. They pull up in the field, they have their guidance line, variety, field, everything they need is right there. They can just hit OK and just start going. It saved them about 30 minutes of setup time per field, per machine. So it really paid dividends there during planting with uptime. They were able to get done a little quicker than they normally would have.
No, that's great to hear. And something we talked about a lot this spring at our High Plains Expo was that different amount of button presses. So like we said, typically if you're just moving fields, it takes anywhere plus or minus 3 button presses by the time you switch fields, get things set up, change guidance lines. Work Planner can take that down to 4 button presses. So that's definitely an awesome way to reduce some time sitting at the edge of the field. So
I mean, a lot of guys that I deal with, they've seen the advantage in just having someone who's sitting in the cab that's maybe not as familiar with running the display. They don't have to worry about, is the variety correct? Are they in the right field? Or the line they have selected? So just simplifying it, and like you said, Troy, reducing those button presses. Guys have gotten a lot of value out of Work Plan.
Yeah, and one enhancement we did have this spring, if you haven't seen it yet, one complaint about Work Planner in the past, we always got those full screen pop-ups all the time, which were kind of, to say the least, annoying sometimes to some customers, and that maybe kept some customers from utilizing it when it first came out. But if you do have that boundary, in the past when you went in and outside of that boundary, that full screen pop-up. But now, if you utilize a new feature within Ops Center, those field entrance flags, if we have that for that field, as long as we aren't near that field entrance flag, that full screen pop-up won't pop up when we go in and out of that boundary, because we know some guys run end rows, some don't. So if you're not running end rows, you're usually going outside your boundary, come back in every pass. So that's definitely would help to decrease the nuisance of that pop-up with latest software. So get with us if you need kind of help getting that set up or getting those field entrance flags in there too. So in addition to that, there's been other cool updates to Work Planner.
So right at the beginning of July, probably, or so, end of June, Work Plan will automatically resend that plan. If you edit that work plan that you already have created, whatever changes you make, it automatically resends that out to the equipment it was already sent to, and you don't have to worry about that anymore. So.
Yep, so it makes it really easy. If you're making changes on the fly, have to make changes on the fly, don't have to worry about resending it. So
yeah, some other additions to Work Plan that they've added. Obviously with the new combines running ground speed automation, they're utilizing those satellite imagery views. So before you had to kind of set up the work plan, wait for it to process, and now work plan is automatically assigning those satellite imagery and sending it out. So makes it a lot smoother to get that into these combines.
In addition, talking about satellite imagery too, so one nice feature, if you do have an advanced license on your display, when that work plan screen does pop up, it'll actually give you the satellite imagery in the background of that pop-up screen too. So just another nice feature to know where you're at in the world and make sure you have the right boundary or the right work plan depending where you're at out in the field. So, and then some other new features they did come out with, since we're right on the heels of harvest, wheat harvest around here, but of course getting geared up for corn harvest pretty soon here too. Work plan does automatically send those variety locator files for those work plans now too, and the nice thing, you can actually visualize those variety locator files in work planner too. So just like we can like with prescriptions, you can actually visualize that variety locator file beforehand. That's something we've never been able to do in Op Center yet, so that's a very cool feature. So we can actually make sure we have all those different varieties where we think they are out in the field, or we did get that recorded correctly too. So, or
even just the right variety. So,
just as long as it wasn't variety number one. So the most common variety in Op Center, unfortunately. So, and to that point too, if we did have errors when it came to correctly documenting our varieties, we do have some cool new features in Op Center too. With that timeline feature, we can start to split and merge different layers. So if you guys do have some goof ups like that you want to correct, get with us. We can walk you through how to utilize those. I've done it for a few guys where we had to, they forgot to change variety, forgot to do something, so we can actually take that layer, we can split it, we can change it on this side, we can merge it back together and actually start to do some of that data manipulation and cleanup in Op Center, which is very, very beneficial to keep things correct how they were done out in the field. So,
and on top of that data manipulation piece, cutting it out, we all have guys that are recording work going down the county road
no one
a lot.
has that.
and so that makes it a really nice feature. You can kind of split that and then just delete that planting activity they did going down the road or whatever it may be. So pretty nice.
You mean it didn't strip till 5 miles down the road? No, see, that never happens, does it? So, and something else, and some other nice features in Op Center too, when it comes to that data, it's actually easy to share multiple field layers now with partnered organizations. So if you're someone that's sharing a sprayer between two organizations, a customer, or you're doing some custom work, custom harvest, things like that, you did a few fields for a neighbor, he did a few fields for you, it's very easy now to go in there and actually select those multiple layers and share those with a partnered organization versus just one by one like we could in the past. So that's a very nice feature they've came out with here recently too. So
yeah, going to save a lot more time for us too.
Yep, exactly. So put this back with the Work Planner. Another cool feature within Work Planner is the report totals. So once we have all those work plans made, we can actually print out or generate an AS report, so we kind of know what all our work plans look like beforehand.
Well, and to touch on that a little bit too, once you make your work plan, you're able to see kind of that estimated time to completion. I know not a lot of guys necessarily know that that's there, but it is pretty accurate from what we've seen. So definitely helps with logistics.
Yeah, so especially we have that on the app now too, so you can actually, when you're out in the field, you can actually see the estimated time to completion on the app plus on the work plan side. So it's very, very nice to kind of get a plan ahead, and it's actually pretty, like you said, pretty close to when it actually estimates to when it, if all goes well. So
yeah, our one new thing in Op Center now is with the combines is we've had machine utilization, so we've been able to go in there and kind of see how the different performance metrics of machinery as it's being relayed into Op Center. But one nice thing when we look at these new combines, and that's technology usage, you're actually able to now go into Op Center and see, okay, are these technologies benefiting my operation on a per acre basis? So when we go into Op Center, we're able to see if you're using machine sync, how often is machine sync being utilized with that combine, ground speed automation, the combine harvest settings automation. Obviously, the technology does have a price tag on it, but you're able to actually put that in to see if it is working for you, or if you're even if you got guys running machinery and they're not using the technology you paid for, you can go into Op Center and say, hey, let's use this. It does benefit us.
Yeah, so that's actually some of the new S7 machines we're right on the heels of wheat harvest in our area right here, right now. So with some new S7 machines out there with that full suite of technology, so predictive ground speed automation, harvest settings automation, we were able to go in. Those reports came out right in the nick of time, so we'd actually go in there and look at what's the per acre performance difference between using those technologies and not utilizing those technologies. And actually, this customer in question, it was about a 6 to 7 acre an hour difference. So that was good to see that fully utilizing these technologies does equate to that performance increase on the backside. So very, very cool to see. Or like you said, can we start to correlate, if you're using machine sync, that on time, does that correlate with some higher productivity too out in the field, or things like turn automation, all that, is that being utilized, and how does that equate to higher productivity out in the field?
And you can kind of check yourself a little bit too if you turned it off for half a field and ran like you normally do. A lot of guys have been doing this a long time. They can set combines pretty good, they can run consistent speed, but you always end up inevitably slowing down a little bit or speeding up too much, or something happens over here, over there, you get distracted. And then so you can see that based on when you have it running and doing it right there, you can compare apples to apples, and the machine's usually doing a better job than you think you are.
Another new feature in Op Center is the bulk boundary creator. A lot of times we get into Op Center, or you're looking through and you don't necessarily have boundaries for every field, or there's quite a few extra fields that maybe shouldn't be in there. What bulk boundary creator allows you to do is just go in. It's going to show you all of the fields that you have in your Op Center, and then from that you're able to select, okay, I want my application pass for this field to be the boundary, but over on this field I want it to be the most recent seeding pass. So from there you're able to do multiple boundaries at a time and just create them all at once. In the past, we've had to manually go in and
one by one.
Yep. So a huge time saver there with the bulk boundary creator.
In addition to that, we actually have the ability now to bulk make boundaries active or inactive too. So that's a nice feature built on top of that too. So we might have 20, 30 boundaries we don't want or want to activate, but in the past it was you had to go by field, one by one activate, but now we actually have the ability to bulk activate and or inactivate those boundaries too, which is very nice. So,
and then some guys have pivots or a quarter of land that they farm separate one year, but they want to farm it together the next year. So we can go in there in Op Center and merge those two boundaries into one clean boundary without having to go in there and delete all the little dots that it creates for the individual boundaries themselves. We can merge that now, and it's a pretty nice feature. Saves a lot of time.
Yeah, so lots of cool new features in land. So if you're interested in those, just get with us. We can help you out and help you implement those new features in your operation. So another cool feature we have in Op Center now too is pretty much a historical rain estimates too. So much like we've maybe seen in some other platforms throughout the many years, we actually do have a new weather tab. So if you do have a good boundary in there, you can actually click over there to that weather tab and see what the past 24-hour rain was, what the past rainfall was in the current day or even the past day. So it's a very nice way to check and see, if you're pretty spread out and you want some good quality rainfall information, we can go in there and actually look at that now.
Yeah, and it also, shows that in the app, from your phone, you're able to go in and see with recent fields that you completed work in, and it's going to show a rainfall total for those fields. So definitely handy to have in your pocket.
Yeah, and actually me and a few other guys on the team have actually correlated that with what our rain gauges at home say versus what the data on there says. It's usually pretty dang close, so cool to see. So thank you guys for all that great information. We have had lots of good updates on the Op Center side, on the hardware side, so great to kind of go over some of those updates before we start to, as we kind of wrap up some summer activities and start to look ahead to some fall activities. So very good to keep those top of mind. But if you ever have any questions, get with us at 21st Century with our Precision Ag team. We can definitely help you out with anything Precision Ag questions related. So thanks again, Hank and Dalton, for joining us today. And if you want to learn anything more about the technologies we've talked about here today, be sure to put our High Plains Ag Expo on your calendar for next year. It's going to be February 25th. So we had very good success with that last year. So we'd love to see you out there to learn more about the technologies we talked about here and anything latest and greatest when it comes to John Deere. Until then, see you on the next episode.